positive circle. On the left hand. Do a 3-count positive circle. From this position on the right here, number 1 is in with elbow. Make sure the hand is not offline here. In with elbow. Turn with the waist, hand still stays there. Out with the hand. In with elbow. Turn with the waist. Out with the hand. On the left, in with elbow. Turn with the waist, out with the hand, in with elbow, no other body part moves. Turn with the waist, lead with the waist, every other body part must adapt to it. Out with the hand, lead with the hand, the middle finger, every body part must stay in position but rotate to adjust to it. So that's a 3-count positive circle. Overall, in the positive circle here, if I use a right-handed positive circle, the rear in step must be straight. And then you step out. The distance is 3 of your calves in here, so roughly about this wide. And the front knee here must be locked to allow rotation but not movement. The quad must be open. In this case, open just means stretched out, not indented like this here. So this is the size, and the front foot is 45 degrees open on a grid line like this here. So the chest must be parallel to the, if you call the back south, if there is a wall there, and your hand is here 45 degrees against, if there is a 90 degree, this here, and then 90 degree line is 45. So it's 45 plus 90, that's the direction or the degree of your front hand. So in this posture here, number 1, in with elbow, no body part moves. Turn with waist, leading with this turn here. That really means when you use the front quad, it means the shoulder, the elbow, the quad, all these 3 are on a line here. And rotate that line. The hand remains outside. And then continue until you stretch your hand out. That's the positive circle. Positive circle, part 2. So we already know in part 1 that the positive circle roughly has 3 basic movements. 1 is in with elbow, 2 is rotate, or we call it turn with the waist, and 3 is out with the hand. So now we talk about when doing these 3 moves, what we actually are doing inside the body. So the first move, in with elbow here, you imagine a fixed spot over here. Just like fixing the rubber cord on the wall in this direction, and you pull it. When you pull it, you need a force that goes that way to create an opposite force, the split energy. So in this case here, when I do this here, the anchor point is there, but the pull is on the elbow towards me here. So the force going back is actually on the heel here. So if I exaggerate and show the movement here, physical outer movement, so you can see it's like this here. So push into that. So from here, that push pulls the elbow in. So it's not the elbow just coming in with one force. It's as you do this here and you are doing this. So if I again explain this here, if you actually put there is a piece of rubber cord on the wall, and when you pull it, you put your foot on the wall there, it's this feeling. You have to create that feeling here. So that feeling is the first move. In with elbow here, you push the foot, really the heel down 45 degrees that way, causing this to come in here. And that action is possible because this does not move. And it only rotates to create that split energy of this down here, pulling this here. Otherwise, the mistake is like this. You moved. When you move, the energy is only a type of energy that's called velocity based. Ours is what we call stable energy, which is not a dynamic energy, but it's called non-moving energy. That's why in Taiji we always say move without moving. Static energy, you create this structure through this power and this method, not through momentum. So this is number one. As you go like this here, now you feel this is in action, in the right structure, then you turn like this, push the foot to number one. Number one here. Number two is further use the waist as the starting point to push the foot again here. At this point here, you must, when you do the number three here, you must adjust a little bit here. So I'm exaggerating to show. While doing this adjustment, number three is you push the rear foot back that way, and then the hand going out this way to stretch as long as possible. While doing this stretch here, number one, this shoulder should not go, meaning do not do this. Number two, the shoulder cannot go up. Number three, the torso cannot move out of line. Everything has to stay on this line here and go lower. See, this is how you do that stretch. So while doing that, another important thing is the quad here must not bend backward, meaning do not do this bending. And the quad stays here as a pivoting point. Only stretch the hand. So lower a little bit against the foot, creating this type of a stretch here. In section 2 of the positive circle, I talked about the three energy lines. Number one is as you come in, the power comes from pushing this foot here. Number two is the power comes from rotating the waist. And that's a vertical power. Number three is the power is from the rear foot propelling the hand to go out. So you got a line here, and a line here. The direction is the first line of energy is this way, second one is down this way, third one is down that way. So that eventually we will try to understand how there are always three directional forces inside the body, and the three cannot combine. So now we talk about another aspect. This is the third section of the positive circle. In this aspect here, I just want to talk about one thing. While you are doing the circle here, the front finger, the middle finger here, which is the guiding direction for the movement here, can never reverse itself. So this is why we come in with elbow, and the finger still points that way, 45 degrees from my torso, the chest here. And as I rotate, everything adapts, so the finger is also still here. This perspective is very difficult to see, but in reality, if you look from here, the finger is always the 45 degree where my target is always in front. If you look at the perspective, of course, from, if you look at me from there, the anchor or my target is in that direction, the middle finger is always in front. So this is the rotation. And when you are going out, same thing here. We find a way to stretch and lengthen this third line here and make every body part join that line, and by most importantly lowering the shoulder and not moving the front quad, because the front quad going to the front knee and front foot only acts as a pivoting point, and also you can say support for this diagonal line suspended in the air. So there is a support here. It does not perform any other function. Do not put power in the front here. It's the rear foot stretching. So I'll demonstrate it again. Throughout the positive circle, this circle and this experience, the middle finger is always in front, and this is a very important principle. So I'll show what is considered wrong. While doing this here, if the hand goes like this, it's considered wrong. And over here, if your finger goes like this, it's considered wrong because you're offline. So virtually here, this is okay, all of those are okay. This is not okay, this is not okay, and this is the general direction of our alignment, and the front finger here, the middle finger, is considered in front. The rear foot is called back. So the front and back relationship can never change, and this dantian is always in the middle. So the three positions must always remain in their locations, in their places, and never change. In positive circle section 3, I talked about the middle finger. The direction is there, that during the circle here, the middle finger never changes direction. So the body and the arm will do the circle, and there are three directions of alignment, but the finger never reverses itself. So that's the positive circle, middle finger direction. So this is the positive circle section 4. So in section 4 of the positive circle, I will talk about the three dots that are anchor points, meaning that the three places where they do not move. And we use the word 3 or the count 3 because the circle that I'm teaching right now is based on a 3-count circle. Eventually, of course, we know that the circle is made up of 9 points, and that's a very complex circle that's also the subject of a totally different video. So in the first move here, the part that's not moving is, you imagine that dot on the wall there, the middle finger is fixed on. When you draw back here, that part cannot move. So this pole here cannot move that dot here. And it's imagined, it's very, very difficult. That's why I always say that when you make this move, I always say you move your hand. It's because the finger has to be fixed on that dot. And if you move like this, it's not fixed on it anymore. So that's difficult because it's suspended in the air. Number 2 is, as you turn, this knee cannot move. Okay? Ideally, it's the foot, but at this level, we only talk about this knee here. So when I turn here, if the knee moves like this, the whole body loses balance. So you can turn the torso without moving the knee here. This knee does not move. It requires the ankle and the quad and the shoulder. They will all have to modify themselves so that this knee does not move. Now, number 3 is when I turn back and stretch this longest line out, the rear knee cannot move. So it has to be like this here. That a stretch, I can go down, stretch the foot, heel out. Not moving the rear knee, it means do not move like this. Okay? When the rear knee wobbles like this, and it has to be suspended, aiming roughly that way. The rear knee cannot aim down, cannot aim forward, but it can be physically lower. But as long as it still aims backward towards, if you draw a line here, the knee has to aim backward. The more desired position is the knee aiming up. If it aims up, it means the quad here rotates downward. The rear quad being down is desirable. The front quad being up is also a desirable position. So now here, no move here, no move of the front knee, and no move of the rear knee. So this is the 3 moves here. Okay. In the form is considered cloud hands. If there's the movement is on the same line. If the movement is 45 degrees and you're moving, it's called red fist. Let's do the double positive circle. This here, when this is here, this here goes over here. And make sure the finger is still here. So eyes right here. This is double positive. Here, on this side. finish in this posture here. When the left hand comes back, do not move the hand. Come back, and the right hand goes out. Do not move the elbow. Goes out here. Then next move here, turn, and no movement of the upper body. Then elbow come in, hand go out. Elbow come in, hand go out. Elbow come in, hand go out. Then add torso. Double positive circle. This is considered red fist in the form, in canyon fist. There is a center line on the waist all the time. Arms move 45 degrees to one side, then to the other side. Negative circle. So in the negative circle here, after we stop at this posture here, it's exactly the same as the positive circle, in with elbow, but the in with elbow comes from the top. In with elbow, turn with the waist, and out with the hand. In with elbow, turn with the waist, out with the hand. So I'll put the moves together like this here. So all the other considerations are the same, meaning the hand has to be in front, and even during the turn, the hand has to be in front. In the end, out with the hand, just a stretch. In with elbow, turn with the waist. When you turn with the waist, do not turn the shoulder out. So turn with the waist, out with the hand. In with elbow, turn with the waist, all double the way negative. Here. There are two double negatives. So this is the double negative desynchronized. And in the form, it's called fist draping over body. Negative. You can use the hand or use the fist. And then use the torso to switch it back to here. Make sure the hand is in front. It's not like this here. And then here. The shoulder is in. Elbow does not go like that. The elbow tries to relatively stay towards close to here. The fist is on top of the, also relatively on top of the knee here, so it's not here, not here, relatively here, and the whole thing pushes down here. And this one here, same thing here. The elbow can go over the center line, the hand cannot. So this would be the hand over the center line. So you can do a lot of twisting here. And then on this side, back here, and turn, turn, turn. During the whole process, try not to bring the hand over to this side. So here, 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 here. So when you do this here, face 45 degrees. So this is one way. And face this here. Turn the body and face here. After you do 9 times, then face the right. So this is right-handed from here. So the next one is also double negative, but it's synchronized. When it's synchronized, it's always seen as, let's say, to step forward, double push down, or push down, step by stepping forward in this move here. And also any move that precedes the punch covering hand requires this move here. 2 double negative go like this here. So the training is I'm standing here. The first is looking this way here. Out. Come back. Out. Come back. Out. Double. Negative. Together synchronized. And now look this way here. Same stance. Look this way here. Go here. Come back here. Always pull in with elbow. Out with hand. There's a stretch here. In with elbow. Out with hands. In with elbow. Out with hands. So the next move here, I'll use the left hand side because in the form it appears the first time it appears in the form is left hand sided. So it's from single whip here. This is the move here. This move is a negative on the left hand side, like this here. While doing the negative, the right hand is doing a positive, and the positive circle is relatively small, trying to stay on the torso like this here. So the move overall is here. So this move here is positive negative combination with the body facing here, creating a straight line over here. And the idea of this move here and the application actually is called shaking the long pole, the white waxwood long pole. The shaking is in this way here. The real shaking is from here, and this is a support, only extends and it comes back. The movement of this one here is not on the hand, it's on the elbow. It's relatively just to pull the elbow in. You can make it larger, but the hand does not move. So I'll complete the move here. On the right, the eyes must stay there, do not toss here, and the front does not move. Just to open the hand and interact with the rear foot, creating a very long stretch and a very long backward stretch that way. Very long stretch. I'm going to show the fetch water move. Here the stance is not important. I chose this one here because the feet here is wide enough to allow my body to do the downward stretch. Overall, fetch water is same as the circle, two-handed circle, but the direction of the energy alignment is towards is downward 45 degrees from the dantian towards the knee, and then go into the foot area. So there is a stretch from the tip of your toes on the right hand side, as I am facing the right, to the rear shoulder, and eventually we can also extend that or shorten it, but there is a line in this direction. So I will go and do a few. So I did 9 of them. So now let's come back and look at how the action is done. First of all, the front foot should not move. It's an anchor point. So imagine if you have a piece of rubber band and you lock it on your toes and you grab it, let's say roughly in this position on the knee area here, and you pull it. So this is roughly the idea. So this is not doing the move, but this is to show the intent of what you're going to do. So pull the foot here, but the foot is pushing back down onto the floor, and do this here. So the action is done by stretching the knee here, and also stretching the ankle, and stretching the quad here, and rotating the torso, but with this shoulder as a lead of the rotation. So the first thing to avoid is at this point here, you over rotate. You can see the shoulder went off that line and your power is lost. But right now the shoulder is on this side, is not on the line. So we gradually go, and you have to look at it or ask somebody to look at it without protrusion and without being tense here. The shoulder is roughly opposite of your foot. When this happens, you stop here, make sure this elbow is tucked in on here and this elbow is in here, the hand is open, and then stretch this dot against the foot, not rotating. At the beginning you rotate, then stop, and then stretch it. So that stretch comes from mainly here, a little bit of adjustment here, and a little bit of a push into the ground. So it's like this here. So this stretch is very, very important. If you don't stretch it, you'll be doing this, and that's wrong. The hand posture is that the arm here, the shoulder should have a feeling that as you perform this move, the shoulder pushes towards your dantian or the chest area inside towards this line here. So the shoulder should draw towards here instead of going down. That causes the torso to bend. It presses here, like this here. It presses inward. And the elbow should always stay on the waist here, like this. And because of that here, with the stretch, the power is pressed or compressed into the finger. In this case, is the index finger. So the index finger should go towards your toes on that foot. So this is overall. And at this point, when you do this move here, just imagine your head is not part of it because the shoulder is the tip of the other end. You are only stretching this line here. The head do not participate. It means don't go into this. The head is participating, fighting for that alignment. So it's just here. So if you can place your head here and looking roughly this direction is good. But at the very beginning, most people like myself like to look at my alignment, and that creates this here. It's all right, but it's not. In the future, we should avoid that. Looking at yourself is never a good idea. And once you know what to do, asking somebody to look at you and tell you whether you are doing it right, or ask an instructor, or at least look at yourself from in a mirror, but not looking at yourself like this. Okay, I'll do it again. So the quad is stretched until it becomes fairly open. The also open means flat, not this is bent. So the knee is the same thing. It has this orientation. So if I go over here, you see the knee has this orient. The whole body stretches like this. It should not be like this. This is the wrong method. It should be a stretch here. Okay. So 1, 2, locked, then stretch. Lock, stretch. So I'm going to do it on this side. So first switch here, look this way here, and then find that position here. Use this shoulder and go here. And roughly in this case, it's on the foot. And then stretch. Make sure your direction, your hand direction is this way here, but without moving your hand, it's squeezing the shoulder and elbow towards it. You can see there is a stretch. 2. So 6 ceiling, 4 closing. 3. You start from here and then come back here. So it's the continuation of the block touching coat, which ends here. And then from there, you roughly the move is here. You're doing this move here. In a very small way, it's just like this here. So you stretch it out as an exercise is here. So we put this hand, in this case here, I'm looking to the right. You put the left hand up, right hand down, almost touching here in front of the knee here. Then stretch the right hand in a positive circle in with elbow. And while doing this here, you only do this here. It's the waist rotation that makes it go out. And this hand here, you are coming back towards here. Okay, so it's also the positive circle. Although it looks like the hand is coming back here, it's actually the dropping of the elbow that pulls it back here. Both two forces of the right hand going forward and left hand coming back here, the two forces do not come from your arm and they do not come from your hand. What they do is they are generated from your waist turning. That one turn like this here causes the two arms to move from here. It's like this here. At the beginning, this is how you generate that force, splitting the rotational force here into the two. So that's number one concern. Number two is while you are doing it, you make sure that your torso is straight, that you do not lean. And the torso being straight means we can use many ways to explain it. In this case, we can say, do not take sides, side. Don't side with the front hand or do not side with the rear hand. And in other ways of explanation, you say central equilibrium. It means this here, if I do it the wrong way to demonstrate, can you see the torso leans towards the front hand, which is double heavy, or the torso leans towards the rear hand, it's also double heavy. The torso only does this here. While doing this here, you generate power forward and backward. And now there is a three-way split here. The torso rotation causes the front arm to go forward, rear arm to go backward. Power is also split down there and the center never gets involved. So these are very, very important. because in this move here, this is the first time I talk about the way the energy splits. In all the other foundational exercises, this principle governs all moves. Okay, now here. So that's how energy splits. So if I go like this here to make it larger, to see this rotation is independent and the moves are like this here. So if you go like this, the power sided with the rear side, and this is the side power, the power sides with the front. Both ways are incorrect. So now I'll do a few here. 1. And if I do the complete move on the, to demonstrate the motion or the power on the arms, it's starting here and then split, 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 split. In the end, it's like this. So now let's talk about the alignment. So I have to create a line here. So pulling something like this here, there is a line. Both arms must be on that line and ignore everything else. And while keeping this here, the rest of the body might be off, might be a little bit loose or be not balanced or stiff. At this stage, it's not the concern. It's how the arm stays on that line. Can you see the shoulder comes into here, aims here, elbow aims here, and this here, the shoulder stays here, elbow goes around like this here. So this is how it's done. By the time it's finished here, this hand from this closed position down facing the floor, when it's finished, it's 45 degrees facing up there. So you draw a line 45 degrees vertical from that position. And this hand is 45 degrees from this floor here going up there facing here. So when it's finished, it's here. 45 that way and this 45 that way. And that's the finished position. But these two here are on this line here. Now I'll do a few here in a different size here. 1, 2, and you see here the movement of returning, because actually this move is only like this is finished. But in order to do none of them, so we return. And this here is taking out the slack, and we call this a transition. Transitional moves are not important, so we don't place any emphasis on the transition. Just because transitional moves are here and you are doing them, do not do obvious, do not make obvious mistakes like shoulder, elbow, because you do that, you're developing a bad habit. So we go like this, but there is no intention, no power. This is the actual move. Come back. This is the actual move. So the center is there, but you can choose to, let's say, go smaller or a little bit wider, and you can even just stand like this here. And so that's just the size of your stance. Okay. I'll do it on the left hand side. So here, 45 degrees.